Alright guys, so we're talking about new methods of textile production today. So first off, for the textile production, instigated the Industrial Revolution because they had to increase production to meet the growing demand for clothing textiles and for the people. And so the industry took place in the countryside, not just in the cities and big factories. And production also took place in rural communities rather than just agriculture. Peasant households served as units rather than in big factories with like hundreds of workers. And then households often produced textiles in the winter when they couldn't farm so that they could have income for the entire year. And then the domestic system of textile production. So merchants would take fibers to peasants who spun it into thread, and then the merchants would take that new created thread to other peasants to create the finished products. And then the peasants used spinning wheels and hand looms, and some of the peasants owned their own equipment, but a lot of the time merchants actually owned the equipment and then let the peasants use it. And then this system of production became a fundamental piece of the family economy so they could have income year round when they couldn't farm. However, in the mid 18th century, demand was too great for this small scale system of production, and so it led to the creation of new machines.
All right. So, the in the textile industry, there was a huge bottleneck. Um, Manufacturers had the capability to turn all this thread into new cloth, but they never really had enough thread to do it. So, in 1765, the spinning jenny was invented by John Hargreaves. Um, it was able to produce as much fabric as the new threaders demanded. Before, one worker could work on one thread at a time, but the spinning jenny multiplied that workforce so that they could work on 16 threads at a time, but by 1800 they could work on 120 at one time. Um, and that eventually led to the water frame. It was invented by Richard Arkwright in 1769. It moved the textile production to factories instead of like small mills, and workforce wasn't really necessary except to refuel it, put more coal uh, in it, and like make sure there was a water source to power it. It produced a more refined, durable cotton fabric as opposed to cotton fiber with linen fiber, or cotton fabric with linen fiber, and it needed a river or a stream or something to power it. It increased cotton output by 800% from 1780 to 1800, and by 1815, cotton was 40% of British exports, and by 1830, it was 50%. Or like outside source was that it was kind of slow because it could only work on like one thread at a time. So Samuel Crompton combined it with the spinning jenny in 1779 to make the spinning mule, so that it could like work on multiple threads at a time super quickly.